once it gets dark, it's just beautiful, really. You can just appreciate bats flying around. They are incredible creatures. I was hooked, basically, for something so tiny to live for 30 years. And they break all the rules, you know, they can hibernate and they can fly and they can echolocate. So they have superpowers, basically, and they're cute. We're doing a long-term study of the bats in the woods.
People tend to work on larger animals, you know, they're more charismatic.
53.4.
Four-finger bat, 30 grams?
Yeah.
And really the only way you can find out about the lives of these animals is by doing this kind of research. One of the wildlife experiences I will never forget is hanging in a cave in Austin, Texas, where there was a roost of 10 million Mexican free-tailed bats.
They're fascinating because we still know so little about them and there is a lot to learn. It's just a glimpse into that world, really. We are looking at the social networks of the bats in the woods. For the past 8 years, we've been looking for bats in boxes. When the great tits and the blue tits fledge, the bats move in, and it's one of the best pictures of bats that you can get. We can follow the same bats and their movement patterns around the wood. There are 7 colonies using different areas. The natterers, males and females, belong to the same colony and they are within a specific area. But for Dobentans, so very similar species, they actually have a completely different social system. The bats choose to stay year after year with their mothers and aunts and sisters. But male Dobentans form a completely separate social network. They form bachelor groups and move around the wood, creating more connections. And there are so many roosts, we can actually find a high proportion of the population. You just have to keep looking, basically. It just keeps growing, this project. I want to do more and more. But you can only study the bats that choose to use the boxes. So we need to follow them into the trees as well. We have mist nets, and they are very fine nylon net and harp traps.
Named for pretty obvious reasons. It's a bit like a harp.
Bats will fly into it if you're very lucky. Therefore, we're also recording additional species that aren't roosting in the boxes, but are here. So there are 12 to 14 species, possibly even 16 or more species. So many people don't ever really interact with bats. They're oblivious to them, but they are here.
Education is the key. You can't love something, you can't value something if you don't understand it. You know, and if you want scientists in the future, if you want people to come to places like this and marvel at it and say, wow, this is worth hanging on to, you need to reach kids. Show them a bat, give them a bat, inspire them, you know, get that spark going.
So, here's one of the main species we find in the boxes.
Places like Wytham Woods are absolutely crucial because they are a natural lab. They are where you go to find out about how the world works, how organisms interact. If you can't do it here, where are you going to do it?
Bats do have bad press, and people aren't really aware of the truth of what their lives are. Most bats are actually doing good in the world, pollinating. You know, we wouldn't have coffee, chocolate or bananas without bats.
Places like Wytham Woods, we've used as a lab for so long. They're relatively unspoiled. And bats need places to roost, holes, hollows, snags. Around me here, I can't see any bats, but there may be several hundred bats within 100 yards of me here, out of sight, until it goes dark, and then things will start to get interesting.